Hey guys, so I recently did a video on fear and fear of exhaustion, and a few of you asked me to make a video on how I overcame that. So let's get started. But before I go on, please subscribe to the channel, and if you're interested in our coaching services, you can click the link in our description that will take you directly to our WhatsApp chat, and you can get in touch with us and ask us about our services. Now, onto the video. So, just a few days ago, I did a video where I explained this entire chart on fear and fear of exhaustion. So, before watching this, if you want to understand how I explained it and why I made this, you should go and watch that video first and then come to this one because then it'll make a lot more sense. So, over here, first of all, this is how it all went down for me. So, first of all, in order to get to overcoming all these things, first of all, I had to do my biggest main exposures, which were mainly contamination OCD related, right? Because contamination OCD had physically limited my life so much that to get to the rest of this stuff, the rest of this like subtle, more lingering stuff, I had to like first overcome those physical limitations with contamination, right? So which took me a long time, by the way. It wasn't like, oh, let me just like, stroll down the street. Like, of course it was a lot of hard work. So first of all, I had to do a lot of those to clear the paths to other things I had to work on, right? I don't know why these sticky notes aren't sticking really, but I'm trying to do my best anyway. But then, when it came to looking at some of these compulsive behaviors, which related to fear of exhaustion and burnout and overwhelmingness and overstimulation, um, this is what I started to do more and more. And these are, yeah, sorry, just cutting. Okay, so first of all, I had to start saying yes to plans instead of saying no, because I was saying no and I was being extremely picky about where I wanted to go and who I wanted to hang out with based on how I was feeling, what felt overwhelming or not, what felt right, the right mood and the right vibe, etc., etc. So I started to say yes to plans and also not procrastinating on saying yes. I would commit to them fairly quickly, right? That's what I tried to do, because before that I would procrastinate on even saying yes because it just felt too much to say that, okay, yes, I'll be there. So I want to delay that thing as much as possible. Then I started to volunteer chores around the house, right? Because again, was something that I was not doing because I thought, oh, this is exhausting, or this would be too much, or this would be inconvenient. So, and instead of waiting for people to say that, or waiting for people to ask me for help or for support, I would volunteer myself. So this included running errands, this included going, like, getting some groceries, this included like, I don't know, if I had to go pay a bill in person or something like that, different things like that. If I had to go drop something to someone's house, if I had to go pick something from somewhere, all those sorts of things. So I started like really volunteering on that front. Then saying yes to opportunities, and this was a big one because there were a lot of like work related or small little projects here and there that I would not say yes to, because I was too afraid I won't be able to handle it or it would feel too overwhelming. So I tried to say yes to them and committing to them, because I also recognized that that was the only way that I would actually do them. Otherwise, I would not do them. Otherwise, I always ended up saying no in the end if I procrastinated or did not say yes. So I started saying yes so that I could, in some ways, corner myself into showing up and holding myself accountable to things. Even like in college as well, like when there would be group projects and we had to make, PowerPoint presentations and stuff like that. So I started to say, when I was in university, I started to say, yes, I will make the PowerPoint presentation, something like that, so that I had to be the one to put in that effort, right? Then another important thing was I had to really change up my work and study structure at home, right? Which was, and this is especially true for a lot of people who are working from home, right, or studying from home, because I had to set up like a separate table for that, and I had to be very strict about this because I'm still on this table, by the way. This is a table that I do work on, right? And the thing is, if you just saw under the table, there's the extension wire. So that's my phone charger and that's my laptop charger. It does not leave these sockets at all. These, I mean, my phone charger and my laptop charger stay there. My bed is elsewhere. So I made it a point to keep my, for example, my phone and my laptop charger away from my bed so that I don't use my devices in bed, right? So it strictly stays on the table, which means that if I have to charge my phone or if I have to use my laptop, I have to get up and come to this table and not do it from my couch, which is over here, from my couch or from my bed, right? So I had to. So then it held me accountable to sitting over here and doing whatever it was that needed to be done. So this was very important for me because staying in bed and doing everything from bed, working, studying, and then even eating and whatnot, I was doing that from my bed or my couch. So this was very essential for being more on my feet and not addicted to comfort all the time. Then I started cycling an hour or two a day. This was a really good thing because it helped me get out of the house. It brought movement to my body. It helped me just like, just be out there and be in good weather and also feel, your muscles in movement because otherwise it feels like you are just, gathering rust essentially on yourself, which also does not feel good. So getting to get out and whatnot, it really helped freshen my mind and feel in better spirits. Going out, even to noisy places, because over here one of the compulsions I wrote was avoiding loud, noisy places. So if my friends were, deciding on going to a noisy restaurant or a place that I know would have loud music, I would agree to it. If we made a plan to go to a concert, I was like, okay, let's do that. So I started saying more yes to those things, and even by the way, like restaurants that or cafes where there was something that I liked over there to eat on their menu, I would avoid going there because I would be like, no, but it's too noisy. So I started offering those up as options. Like, so when we would be deciding amongst us friends, hey, where do we go? I would say, hey, why don't we go to XYZ restaurant or cafe? Because, um, even though I knew it would be noisy. So again, pushing that boundary of volunteering information that I knew would get me in trouble in a way, right? So this was quite important. And I mean, honestly, I can add like a ton of different things to this list, tiny little things that I could add to this, but these were some of my main hurdles, I would say, that I had to work on. So this was some of the main stuff I that helped with, overcoming being on my bed or my couch all the time, or not going out, or compulsively spending a lot of me time. I also started cutting a lot of my nap time, which is also what I'm just going to come to as well, because I was taking frequent naps throughout the day. So I had to really cut that out as well. Which and this helped with cutting out naps as well. Then we have this thing. So, sleep was never really an issue for me, to be honest. I didn't really care about having good sleep. But for people who are trying to control their sleep, this is something that you can start doing in your routine, which is introducing coffee in the second half of your day. Is ideally like after 5 p.m., which is a good way to try to push that boundary towards that fear of what if I stay up at night. No white noise machines and things like that. Like a lot of people use like calming sounds or white noise to go to sleep, and that is like a massive compulsion. No naps during the day. This was me because I was taking a lot of naps during the afternoon and evening, and because I constantly wanted to feel like I was recharging or resetting myself. So this massively had to go. And cutting this out honestly did help with building frustration tolerance and facing this fear of being exhausted and burnt out, because I was taking naps so that I didn't feel this. So these are just some of the things I did with overcoming these compulsive behaviors. Then we come to some more stuff, which is around trying to avoid feelings of sadness, depression, misery, guilt, shame, and overcoming lethargy, laziness, heaviness, and tiredness, and stuff like that. So, with this, first of all, I'll have to repeat myself for a second. So, first of all, the cycling plus no naps and plus the work desk setup. This form, the reason I have made a star is because honestly, this acted as a bit of my springboard, as my foundation, based off of which I was able to do a lot of this other stuff. This is what worked for me, at least. So I'm just like, maybe it can be something a little bit different for you. But this is like, again, being out and about and active helped me be more proactive and motivated in my day. No naps helped me face this fear, and therefore, over time, it helped me see that being exhausted or feeling a little overwhelmed is not the worst thing in the world. And having my work desk again kept me accountable to like not being on my bed, which I was addicted to absolutely, and also then helped me be more proactive with work and not procrastinate my work related tasks and stuff like that, because I just did not want to sit and work, because when you take your laptop to bed, the main thing you want to do is watch Netflix or YouTube, right? You don't want to sit and work, and again, also not, it's not a great position to work in. You automatically sink into a bit of a lazy, lethargic mood when you are in your bed or on your couch. So these three things acted as like a very important combination to tackle more things. So then committing to things for a few hours. What I mean by this is that I was also avoiding things that would take up a lot of time. This included even, if I had to go to someone's house or, hang out with, not hang out in a social sense, but, sometimes there are people that you have to meet, and let's say you have to go and pay your condolences to someone or something like that. And you know that it's going to take like a couple of hours or so, or that you have to go out shopping for, let's say there's a wedding event coming up and you need a new suit, you need a new pair of shoes or something like that. So committing to activities that would take a few hours again was a good starting point for me. And even like for me, I started stringing 2 3 different errands in the same, in the same, what do you call it, basically I would try to then do 2 3 different errands in the same go. Yes, that's what I'm trying to say. Instead of trying to space them apart, because that was also another compulsion I was doing, right? Trying not to put too much on my plate. So when I started to string them along, then that meant I had to be out and about for a few hours, which again helped with this fear of being exhausted and overwhelmed, and also helped me overcome all of this, because when you're more on your feet and you're feeling a bit more energetic, contrary to what we think, you're feeling more energetic, you're feeling more on the go, and it helps create that energy and motivation and drive to tackle more things one by one by one. So this was really important. Cornering myself, like I mentioned, with commitments to social commitments and whatnot, but also things like I had to get my university transcripts for something, and for that you have to go to their portal, you have to fill out a form, you have to give your ID card scans and this and that. They require certain information. So, and I was putting those things off. So what I started doing was I started making appointments I had to make. I started to book phone calls I had to book. I started doing those things more and more so that I could corner myself into actually doing what needed to be done in my life, right? Important things, documentation and whatnot. Because I would always try to avoid it. So cornering myself and making appointments was a good way to do that. Scheduling myself in was a good way to do that. If you look at my calendar now, it's pretty much filled up now. Um, Seeking entertainment outside of the screen, again, cycling helped with that, but then also when I started to go out more, I realized that that was the kind of entertainment that I really wanted as well. So it wasn't just then me on my phone watching a movie or a TV show, then it was also visiting like an art gallery, or going to the park nearby, or I don't know, I mean there's so many different things that you can go out and do. Also taking little road trips as well for a couple of days, which became very important as part of my journey as well. And then one last thing, which is, sorry, I'm basically holding my phone in one hand and I can't like rip this off with one, so I have to kind of like take support anyway. And then this is what I really also did as well to overcome this, like these feelings of like sadness, depression, misery, guilt, shame, whatever. This is what helped with that too, because I was avoiding, sad, depressing movies, television shows, music, or even news, right? Not watching documentaries that felt too heavy, not consuming any kind of content that felt like would be heavy on my nerves. So again, watching documentaries on heavy topics, watching movies that I wanted to watch but I thought were too depressing. Sophie's Choice, I always say, is a very depressing movie, but good exposure for people with fear of depression. TV shows that felt too dense, so not always just watching light-hearted comedy, but also then serious stuff. These days, I'm watching Law and Order, which is excellent, and it tackles a lot of serious subject matter, such as sexual crimes and death and fraud and mental disorders and whatnot. So, very good show for people who try to avoid topics like this. I also started having difficult conversations or things that felt confrontational. So even something like, again, if someone has sent me an invite and I can't make it to that invite, I sending that message or making that phone call to say that hey, I won't be able to make it was absolutely excruciating and very scary. I did not want to do that, but then I started doing this because I knew there was no other way, and so which meant also picking up people's phone calls and replying to their messages. I was like a massive expert ghoster. I did not want to attend calls because it would make me anxious looking at my phone vibrating and someone calling and me not picking it up, and it would be like, oh my god, what are they going to say? How will I speak to them? What if what will they say if I say, if I say something they disagree with, what will their reply be? How will I handle that conversation? So I started picking up my phone calls when they happened, and I did not ghost them, and I started replying to messages. Especially when people are appearing online on WhatsApp, I started replying to them then, so that to face that fear of an immediate conversation and not waiting for them to be offline to send a message to them, right? Because then it was easier to be like, oh, I mean, so then I have the luxury of time to wait on it and not have an immediate, like, uncomfortable conversation. It was me trying to control the amount of discomfort I felt in those conversations. So this became very important in doing this as well. So, which helped bring on the feelings of potential guilt, shame, and sadness, right? Because let's say saying no to someone's invite made me feel quite guilty and shameful and felt like I was disappointing them maybe sometimes. Or it felt like, yeah, again, it just felt uncomfortable to say no, right, to certain things. So then when you say no and you feel like, oh, you're letting someone down, you do feel sad, you do feel a little shameful, do feel a little guilty. So it helps like bring on those um, sensations, right? So these were some of the things I did. Of course, I mean, I can honestly list down so many other little things, but then we would be here for another hour. But these are some of the main things that I did in order to overcome fear of exhaustion, burnout, overwhelmingness, overstimulation, which then tackles fear of fear. So I hope you enjoyed this little sticky, I mean, well, not so sticky, I guess, because all of them are coming off. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this made sense, and I'll see you guys soon.